Hello everyone and welcome back to my devlog series. In this video I want to kind of cover the back end of the inventory and crafting systems. So right here I have all the databases that this kind of system uses. To start with, we're going to jump into the DT items, which is the master database. And you'll notice that it is a pretty hefty sized database, although there's only a couple entries. And so you'll notice that there is a field representing each kind of component of how the items are represented in the game. And this is pretty awesome because if I want to add a new item to this database, I can go over here and click plus, and I can just simply start adding a new item. For instance, if I want to say Sword of Glory, some epic sounding name. Suddenly now we have Sword of Glory. I want to make sure the entry has a proper name. So Sword of Glory. Let's say I want to say it is a weapon, and yeah, that's about it. And now let's say I want to give it a description. The greatest, if I can spell properly, the greatest sword in the world. And let's give it an icon. I want to give it, ooh, edgy boy, blood. The blood sword. The Sword of Glory is basically just a giant piece of blood. And the 3D model, it can be, I don't know, it's a literal door. You're clubbing people with a door. And you can change the rarity to legendary, change the sell value for, I don't know, some egregious number, and quantity can just be 1. And now I have an item in the game called Sword of Glory. I can go and pick it up. I can go and use it. If it's a weapon, it can be equipped. That's how simple it is to add an item to the game. And that's super powerful because for game developers, the more tedious the work is, the harder it is to generate content. And the harder it is to scale your project, and the harder it is to keep going. So the item database isn't exactly the only thing here. There's actually quite a few other databases. The next one is, when I actually go about using an item, let's say a consumable, the backend says, okay, the consumable needs to know even more details about the item. What kind of stat does it affect, and how much is it affected by? And those details aren't on here because those details are unique to consumables. And so how the system works is that when you right click an item, it goes into say, what type is it? And then by what type is it, go and find the special sub database. And in the case of the consumables, we have DT item consumables. And this database is much smaller, but it contains a consumption value, what stat it affects, like thirst and hunger, and the sound effect of what happens when you consume it. And so you can really customize how an item is consumed, even down to the sound effect that plays. And so far you've seen all the things relating to the items, but obviously I have a crafting system. So how does the crafting system use these databases? Well, let's start with crafting stations. And so in the game, one of the biggest things and the most important things is how do you scale the interactive content? And so what I've done is I actually created a database system for the actual workstations themselves. And so you'll notice that there's an entry per workstation: forge, anvil, stove, loom, work table, well, and you can just keep adding more. If I said, I want a new workstation. This workstation shall be called, I don't know, like Super Anvil. All right, I can give it the name Super Anvil. And I can change the model to be, it looks like a forge. It looks like a forge or something else. Actually, no. I actually have a Anvil model. I might as well use it. And there you go. Now you have the Super Anvil entry. Now, obviously, like there's only 2 actual details about these entries. And so it doesn't really do much. But what it does do is it correlates directly to the crafting recipes. So the crafting recipes is fantastic because you have a column for the actual crafting station that makes that recipe. And so when you go up to a particular workstation and you interact with it, what happens is it says, okay, you are a forge. I'm going to go into the crafting recipes database and find all recipes of my name. I'm going to collect them and then display them in the crafting window. And you'll notice forge only has copper bar recipe, but anvil has all of these recipes. That is how that filtering system works. Even better, the output item has a name of an item. This is the name of the item that is found in the items database. The required items is a bit different. It is a name of an item, comma, and then the quantity of the item that is required. Then, if you look at the other ones, you can keep going with that kind of process. Name, quantity, name, quantity. And you can technically make a recipe with infinite requirements if you really wanted to. And lastly, the actual amount of content you get from it once you complete the recipe. And if you wanted to add a new recipe, like we've done in the other databases, you can click plus and just kind of fill it in. And that's how you make recipes. And that's it. Thank you once again for following along with me on this survival dev journey. If you liked the video or found it interesting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Make sure to leave your thoughts and ideas in the comment section below, as I'd love to hear them. As always, I'll see y'all the next one.